Hi, and welcome to tonight's feature. Tonight's feature, we're going to talk about an episode from the series Alfred Hitchcock Presents,
Lamb to the Slaughter.
Now, this episode was produced in 1958, so we're gonna take it from there, I guess, on how 1958 looked like and what Alfred Hitchcock is trying to show us, the viewers. So yeah, the story is about this housewife named Mary. She's pregnant and she's about to make some dinner for her husband. Now, her husband arrives from work. He's a police officer, chief, I think, actually. He's like a strict-looking person. He doesn't say much when he comes home. He just pours himself a drink and is really quiet, while the wife is trying to please him. Well, like, did you have a good day? I can cancel dinner plans with our friends if you're tired, and so on and so on. And the guy doesn't say much. Then she goes out to start cooking dinner because, well, he's probably hungry. Then the husband turns around and says, "I want to leave you, Mary." And this is where it kind of like flips because she doesn't quite understand what's happening. He's trying to get a divorce, and he pretty much says it straight out loud. Well, I don't want to just leave you. I want a divorce also. So the whole premise of the episode is like that the husband wants to leave her for his new girlfriend because they love each other. And you can see that his wife here, Mary, is slowly like snapping. She doesn't know she doesn't know what's happening. She is trying to figure out what is happening because he's telling it right out loud. And she tells him, "Well, if you're gonna leave, I'm gonna make you some dinner. Maybe you'll think clearer." And we see her go out in the freezer and picks up this like lamb piece of meat, like this huge club. And you can see her distress in her face. She's like trying to figure out what's happening. And she just walks out into the living room and towards her husband. And she knocks him out cold. Not cold even. She kills him with like this one jab from this big lamb thigh, I guess. And you can see that she's thinking about, okay, how I'm gonna do this, how I'm gonna cover this up, because she just killed her husband in kind of like this. It wasn't a rage situation either. She just snapped. So the first thing she does is she calls her friend, cancels dinner because her husband is tired. And she starts looking around her apartment, and well, the first thing she's doing is make it look like some kind of robbery, I guess. She turns over the chairs, she's flipping papers and so on. And she calls the police. Now, the police arrives with like the whole crew, like fingerprints, forensic people and detectives and so on. The police starts to ask her questions about the situation, and she's really calm. She seems like disoriented. She doesn't really know how to say stuff, but she tries to keep calm. They take a bunch of fingerprints. They are looking for the murder weapon because, like, the guy checking the police chief out states that, well, it's a large weapon. It's kind of flat, but it's not sharp because he doesn't have any like bruises on the spot she hit him. So it can't be a sharp object. It must be some kind of like maybe a baseball bat of some kind. So the police detective is asking the wife if she's noticing that something's missing. And we can all see that they're like trying to really think what happened here. As the episode goes on, the police chief takes his other detective aside and says that there's something fishy about this case because it doesn't add up. He was fully dressed when he was found. Usually people take a drink after they take the coat off and like try to analyze the situation and be really professional about this. And the one detective starting to smell like the oven is on. We need to turn this off. Why haven't anybody turned this off? Because Mary did put this lamb meat in the oven right after she knocked her husband out. So the police goes into the kitchen, turns off the oven, and takes out this roast. And is like, "Whoa, I thought this was burned." So me as a viewer is thinking, well, she's gonna get noticed now. Yeah, this is over and out for her. And it's not. She looks kind of like, I'm not sure, kind of like a psycho, I guess, when she arrives in the kitchen, because after her husband has been killed just a few hours ago, she's just smiling and walking into the kitchen and said, "Well, take a plate and eat, because my husband would love." Her husband had told her earlier that he loved when he was invited to other people's house for a coffee and stuff like that when he was on a case. So she wanted to bring that joy to the other police officers now when he is dead. So first of all, she invites them to coffee, but as they found the steak here, she says, "Well, just take all the officers inside and have a plate and eat dinner," which they do. So the end of the episode, we see like all the police officers sitting around their table eating this like lamb meat, and we know that this is the meat that she actually killed her husband with. So at the end of the episode, we're starting to figure out, well, she's getting away with this actually, and they are eating up the evidence, and they're talking like loud around the table. "Whoa, well, as far as we know, the murder weapon is just right under her nose." And it's pretty much right under their nose and in their stomach, because they're ruining the evidence. And episodes end with the camera like panning into the living room, and she's like starting to laugh for herself, showing that she is crazy as heck. And we pan over to Alfred Hitchcock telling like, well, she did also this with her second husband, but her husband was like this, forgot to do stuff, and so he forgot to plug in the freezer. So the freezer, so the meat she tried to kill her second husband with was soft, so he didn't die. So she got captured in her second marriage. So yeah, I think the meaning behind this episode, first of all, it was a great episode. It was a good watch. The acting was a bit, you can see that maybe some of the scenes were shot afterwards, because there's a scene at the beginning. It looks like when the husband is pouring his drink, there's two separate recordings. So it seems like they have recorded the wife on her own and the husband on their own, because she's talking like to nothing, it seems. So the acting was like, it was good, but there was some like clunky stuff. But again, it was a good episode all in all. I think the meaning about this story, I'm not sure who wrote this, but the meaning of the story is that like the 1958 housewife is like the perfect thing that walks around at home, that nothing, a wife couldn't do something like this. And it tries to show that the 50s also have a dark side regarding the perfect wife, that maybe a lot of wives are not as perfect as we are imagined, or as they thought back then. So that the dark secrets can be in any family, even the police chief's family. So yeah, a small review, I guess. It was a good episode. I'm gonna see if I can find a few more episodes from this series, because it was a good watch.